Burn your bridges, build your walls, and defend your gates. Hi, it's Lucas Scrobot, and you're listening to Weaver and Loom. I know you think that I'm crazy right now by telling you to burn bridges and build walls. Right now, in culture across the globe, the word bridges are like the new hot thing, and walls somehow have become the devil incarnate. And I understand why this could be, mostly because of the globalist movement clashing with the nationalist movement. A lot of people having very, very strong opinions about President Trump, where he wants to build a wall. And so there's a narrative that is floating through the world right now that's saying walls are bad and bridges are good. And I understand why we like the idea of bridges. It's this idea of connecting two separate pieces of land together, two things that were separate and different, finding ways to connect. But I would like to point out to you that if you have to build a bridge, it's because there's already a wall. If you have to build a bridge, it's because there's already a natural divide and a natural separation, a natural boundary. All that a wall is a boundary. A bridge crosses over water and provides passage from one side to the other. That's really what it is. A bridge is really a gate. But the way that bridge is being used in modern vernacular is saying, don't have your boundaries, don't have your cultural parameters, don't say no. You have to say yes to these things. You have to be open-minded and accepting of this laundry list. And if you're not, you're closed-minded and bigoted. That is the vernacular often that people are using, and the meaning that people are meaning when they're using the word bridge. But I would like to suggest to you today that bridges really erode the natural boundaries that we need to have and hold in our life. There is an ancient proverb that goes like this: a man without self-control is like a city that has been broken into and its walls torn down. We just heard on a couple episodes ago of Troy and the Trojan horse. We can see in that story that the wall worked. The wall worked to keep the Greeks out for 10 years. So this thing floating around saying that walls don't work is kind of crazy. If I had a house and there are people who are trying to kill me and destroy my house and my family, you better believe that I am going to build a wall and I'm going to lock the door because people want to come in and kill me. You would do the same. We all, in our personal lives, we do the same. We have doors in our houses have walls around them, and we lock the door for safety and protection, saying, this is our family unit. This is our bound. This is our domain of society. These are our boundaries. Here is the entryway. If you are a safe person, you may come in when I let you in, and you may go out when it's time to go out. And I will also go out and interact and meet with you in the world. I'm not just locked up in my house. But bridges have come to imply something different, that there should be a free flowing of people and information, and everyone should accept everyone. Now, what does this have to do with anything? Well, Weaver and Loom is a show about connecting us back to our story, to our destiny, to our purpose, to our work, to our life. Because the world has become so noisy. It has become so noisy, and so many people are vying for our attention, vying for our money, vying for us to buy in to what they are pushing and peddling. And unless we have our own boundaries set in place, knowing where we will say yes and where we will say no, a framework that we are bound by and live by, we cannot actually do our greatest work. Think of a weaver's loom. It's a frame. There's a framework, and the weaver must work within that framework. If the frame is broken, it's not going to be able to hold the strings, and the weaver is not going to be able to make a masterpiece, tell a story. They won't be able to. And it's the framework, the boundaries that a weaver has given him or herself. That is what enables a weaver, you and I, creatives, to tell a story that changes the world because we have decided our boundaries and who we are. So for us to be successful in the world, we must know where our boundaries lie. We must know where our boundaries are. So over the next few episodes, we are going to be talking about what constitutes a boundary, what constitutes our walls, what needs to constitute our gates, because it is the walls and the gates of us as individuals, us as our family unit, us as the organization or teams or brands that we are leading. It is the boundaries and walls of those things that constitutes the culture, that constitutes the story. We need to build those walls and build those gates in order for us to have a strong culture. And it's that culture that makes people feel safe, that makes people understand their roles, their places within the society, that makes people feel connected. And that is a story. Our stories are built of walls and of gates. And we're going to specifically be talking about how we can build that in our personal lives, in our families, and then in the brand. As we talk about boundaries, as we talk about bridges and walls and gates, I want you to ask yourself today, are you a boundaried person? One way that you can answer that question is by asking this series of questions. Do you have the ability to say no? Do you say no frequently? Do you know where you actually want to be spending your time and energy and finances? Do you recognize when someone is treating you in a way that you don't like? And are you able to stand up to that person and without violating their boundaries, let them know where your walls are and where your gates are? So take some time today and reflect on these questions. Ask yourself these questions. Maybe even take some time journaling about whether you feel or the areas that you feel lack boundaries and the areas that you feel that you have really healthy and great boundaries. Please, as always, if you found this helpful, share this with a friend. And if you have any questions, you can email me, message me, DM me at lucasgrobot, LucasSkrobot.com. The info is in the show notes. I would love to hear your questions. And if you send me a question, I would love to answer it right here on Weaver and Loom. As always, I'm Lucas Grobot, and you're listening to Weaver and Loom.